So Kovacd switched off. They didn't like the bullying they got last game. Going up to Vanar.
Yeah, that matchup seems like pretty much the worst matchup imaginable for Spell Hype, because the Sarlaccs, you have no efficient answer for them. I mean, either you run Dispel or you OBS them, and of course you want to OBS the Archon. So, and the Sarlaccs are going to ping off all your artifacts. It's playing Jaxi to counter your Cyclone Mask. It has Shadow Dancers to counter your artifacts. Yeah, absolutely terrible. So, don't blame a Kovacd for switching.
But this Glacial Elemental does not feel very good here. I think that's quite a valuable card, and they're just offering it up for very low price here.
I am a bit surprised as well. Yeah, maybe Kovacd has the second one in hand or something, and maybe they're playing a late game deck and feel like they want the breathing room. Something, but yeah, I'm not sure.
Monk's gonna play a Sarlacc. I suppose, in a way, against Sarlacc, it is a little weaker.
Yeah,
I
that's.
Still think it's pretty valuable, or more valuable than Kovacd's made it seem there.
No, that's a great point. That against the Sarlacc deck, Glacial Elemental probably sucks. But also, they could have played any Vanar deck. So, if they're playing the Glacial Elemental deck in the first place, maybe they're expecting a Sarlacc deck. But Sarlacc, so from Monk's perspective, it's kind of interesting to think about when you play the Sarlacc, because of course, if it gets Chromatic Colded, that's really bad. And Monk's deck seems like the kind of deck that kind of doesn't function if you don't have a Sarlacc in play. So it just seems like a very important card for them. So what they could have done is they could have held it until they had a Consuming Rebirth, and then played it and Consuming Rebirthed it the same turn, and then had two, and it's a lot harder to deal with that way. But if you play it early, then maybe Kovacd just hasn't drawn the Chromatic Cold yet, so that's an interesting judgment call.
Yeah, it seems like it's going to work out for them here, since Kovacd didn't use it. I wonder if you just Breath of the Unborn here. It's like a pretty good chance to use it, but yeah.
Yeah, it's tricky because Breath has got to be just incredible against Kovacd's deck. Probably your best card. So you are kind of inclined to hold it as long as you can and really get the best one. And this is a board where, you could deal with it if you had to without Breath. But obviously Breath is great here.
Yeah, I think I'd be tempted to hold on to it just out of fear of a Jack's True Sight, especially since the Consuming Rebirth was drawn. Like, I think that made your turn of equipping a Spectral Blade and the Consuming Rebirth pretty reasonable.
Yeah. Jax was a big one, and yeah, of course, there's still this danger that your Sarlacc gets in. I mean, they didn't have Chromatic Cold last term, and now they do, and now they have Zenrui, which is like terrible, right? This is mag sad indeed.
Yeah, it looks like Monk certainly wasn't expecting that. It's a pretty good way to do a Sarlacc, and it's making this turn for Monk pretty difficult.
I agree with Kovac's sentiment of Lyo forehead.
Yeah, if they still had that Sarlacc, they could potentially Darkfire sacrifice it and get a Revenant or something. But yeah, without that engine card, their deck relies on a bit. We'll see how Monk fares.
Maybe this is karma for drawing Sarlacc turn one every game. Yeah, but I mean, Zenrui is a pretty unexpected card out of Vanar, especially against Abyssian. There aren't that many Zenrui targets in Abyssian. I guess Kovacd was expecting to play against the Sarlacc deck and put in the Zenruis for that, or at least hedging.
Yeah, smart call. I'm not sure about this Rhino because it's like they put it in Infiltrate, but that also means that Monk can and will just walk away from it.
Yeah, I mean they. This does buy Kovacd a turn, or buys Monk a turn. Yeah.
I don't know if the plan was that Monk would just politely walk into the center row to let himself be hit twice.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they, maybe they just want to, get to game 3 as soon as possible. I mean, so Shadow Dancer is a nice way to try and mitigate your opponent's Starlight. I mean, you get Deathwatch pings regardless. But Monk had to expect that the Shadow Dancer was going to get answered immediately, and there wasn't that much. Here, the stat line of 6-5 is amazing because it doesn't get Spectral Bladed and the Revenant dies.
Yeah, we're going to see that traded and going anyway, but that Revenant's off the board, so it's not going to be dealing an extra 4 damage or taking away a removal spell.
Though, at this point, Kovacd is quite low. Their deck is... seems like the kind of deck that isn't going to be playing a lot of healing. So MunkBusiness does have a clear plan at this point, which is just, doing 11 is really not that hard in this situation.
Especially with 2 Spectral Revenants, but I think it got a lot harder with this Ancient Grove. It's triple provoke down.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a quadruple provoke, because Ancient Grove is now affects itself.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's a change we made. It's just a parallel Dragar Lord.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, I don't think Monk has a good way to get rid of it. He's got whips in his deck, but he certainly hasn't drawn them. I don't know if you just go with the Revenant plan or if you try and play this Shadow Dancer to save a bit of HP. So they're just going to try and play an aggressive line, but...
I think Monk sort of assumes that they're dead here. I think, they probably wanted to hit the 1/1 just to not give Kovacd the option, and that also means they're not dead to just Razorback. But yeah, it's
right.
Very, very unlikely to win the game here. That's swag. That is a swag way to end the game. I love this kind of deck where you're playing clearly both Spirit of the Wild and Avalanche. Like that's neat.